every parent in the United States would dream to have the lottery of having a kid like this.
1,000%.
Every dad wants to have oh my God, I can't wait for my son to be 6'10". That opens us up the playbook. I can play basketball. I can do football. I can do any sport. But what happens if you're from a small town in the middle of nowhere in southern Spain, 3 miles away from Africa? Like, what do you do? What kind of sports do you do? So I never had a chance, basically.
What's up, everybody? I'm Peanut Tillman, and this is the NFL Players Second Acts podcast. With me, as always, as my trusty co-host, Roman. I don't have my pineapple T-shirt on. Harper.
Yes. Dude, I'm so used to you just shooting shots at everybody in the room. And I'm really looking forward to our next guest. He's the biggest man in the room, probably in every room he's been in.
He's a graduate at West Point, served in the U.S. Army. He did multiple tours in Afghanistan. He's got several awards. He's a combat veteran. He's received the Bronze Star for Valor. In his second act, he played left tackle, played 7 seasons for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Ravens. In his third act, he is a farmer, and he is killing it in the homestead. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the pod, Mr. Alejandro Villanueva. Did I say that right? Bro, I tried so hard not to butcher the last part. Villanueva. Like
outside of Miami, that's an A. But in Miami now, we can place you exactly where you're in the city now.
Yeah, I will take what I can get. I was like, damn, I really ain't trying to butcher this man's last name. So Alejandro, I can mock that all day. But
when I first came to the United States, there's a lot of people from the South that are in the Army.
Yeah.
So when they read my name, they said Alejandro, and they got stuck as Ali. So I'm a Catholic kid from Spain, and his new name is Ali. So my name was Ali. For people in the Army still call me Ali.
Really?
Everybody in the Army calls me Ali. And then when I went to the NFL, I tried to introduce myself as Alejandro. So they make your. And then my coach said, "No, bud, your name is Al." So my 2 names have been Ali and Al. And then finally, got in here to Miami. People now can call me by my name. But I understand that it's one of the most difficult names to pronounce for the English language.
And of course, football. Everybody has a nickname.
Everybody has a nickname.
Yeah, nobody's going like your whole name.
Peanut all day long.
Yeah.
I'm Charles. Peanut.
Mine was either Rome or Harp. It was just easy.
Easy.
That's what everybody did. So I'm sure somebody called you Villa or Ali.
Ali and Al. Those have been my two names. Ali and Al. Big Al.
I couldn't say, hey, Villanueva. It's too long. I can't really get the point across when I'm yelling with all those damn syllables. So it don't really hit like that. I want to talk about your upbringing in the military. So my dad did 20 years in the Army. I'm a military brat. Your dad he served time in the Spanish Navy, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yes. He served time in the Spanish Navy. You guys moved around different schools. I'm the same way. I like to say I'm from Chicago, and then from you and all my others, like, bro, you ain't from nowhere. You from Texas, you from Chicago, you from Louisiana, you from Kansas, you from do your friends tease you about that? When you're like, oh, they say, oh yeah, where you from? You're like, oh, well, do you pick a spot where you're from?
Well, that's the thing. I'm from Mississippi, but people laugh. When I said I'm from Mississippi.
Yeah, you don't sound like that, bro. I'm from Alabama. You're
exactly.
Not from Mississippi.
Yeah, you're not from Mississippi. So if to be from Mississippi is a huge statement. You know what I mean?
Yes, it is.
There's not a Alejandro Villanueva 6'10" from Mississippi, but that's where they teach all pilots how to fly. Particularly if the United States is selling weapon systems to those countries. Mm-hmm. And so NATO is a big organization, one that is, right now and especially particularly with Spain is going through some issues. But my father was stationed in Meridian, Mississippi when he was learning how to fly. And so I was born in Mississippi. But then after that, I've lived, Miami's the 18th city that I lived in. So I've been living all around the world. I would say my favorite, Savannah, Georgia, is one of my favorite places.
The food
is incredible.
The food is good.
The culture is amazing, especially when you come from outside. I understand the South is complex for people from the South, but for me coming from outside of the United States, it's interesting. It's very interesting to see the dynamics of how a city gets built, the difference between Savannah and Charleston, for example, that are right next to each other. One is more British, the other one's more French. the Savannah River, like how rivers are so crucial in the United States for development. The Savannah port is one of the largest on the East Coast of the United States. I think it's the second largest. So
look at you, a little historian.
Oh, yeah. I love the South. I love Georgia. I love Savannah. I know where Prattville is very well.
Look at that.
85 to 65 to 82. Yeah. I know
Do not talk about where he's from. You just making his head get bigger and bigger. He's just like,
it's true. We used to party when I was in the Army, when I just graduated, Fort Benning, Georgia. And we used to go to Auburn in negative 15 minutes.
Yes.
Because it's an hour away in 45 minutes.
That is true.
So you can just take 82 all the way, to Auburn, or you can go to Tuscaloosa if you feel a little more.
Yeah, a little froggy. 82. That's like going through my hometown. Exactly what he knows. That is awesome. See, nobody's
you pumping his head up right now.
Nobody's actually talked about my hometown. Not one time ever since we've been doing
it. It ain't nothing to talk about. I drove through his hometown. I was like, hey, Rome, I'm in your hometown. Hey, Rome, I'm out of your hometown. That thing is so small.
So you didn't start playing football till you were in Belgium, I heard.
Yes.
But you had played rugby.
The rugby.
You had played some other sports. Your parents had tried swimming.
Swimming. I was a swimmer, my whole life.
And so, come on, talk to us about your whole kind of upbringing.
Yeah.
So, like, what is the sport? What is the activity that people are trying to push you to do?
Yes, that's a great question. So, every parent in the United States would dream to have the lottery of having a kid like this.
1,000%.
Every dad wants to have oh my God, I can't wait for my son to be 6'10". That opens up the playbook. I can play basketball. I can do football. I can do any sport. But what happens if you're from a small town in the middle of nowhere in southern Spain, 3 miles away from Africa? Like, what do you do? What kind of sports do you do? So I never had a chance, basically. And in Spain, the only sport is soccer. Yeah. It's soccer or soccer. It's which one do you want to choose? There's no football, like they call it. We'll call it soccer. Yeah, whatever. Soccer. It's the only chance to do anything in sports, and you have to sacrifice your entire life to become a soccer player. So it's not like in the United States where you can go to college, you can receive an education. There is a little more like hockey. Like you have to start putting your kids in to follow their dreams. And because my father was moving constantly all the time, and my parents are not soccer players, I was just along for the ride with my parents. Where every single base that we went to, all right, what do we do here? I want to try to put you in basketball. Okay, I'll play a year of basketball. The level is never really competitive, but it's fun.
Yeah.
The only people that are going to be in the stands watching you are going to be my parents. And so swimming was a constant because I was in naval bases. So I became a swimmer. Swimming was my passion. But then one day I asked my dad, how much do you make if I win the gold medal in the Olympics? And I think he said, I think you made like $15,000. I said, Dad, find me another sport. Get me out of this. This is not enough. And it wasn't until I went to an American high school in Belgium that I got the chance to play American football.
How old were you?
I was 16.
Okay.
And I mean, not only did I get a chance to start playing football, but I got a chance to travel and see Europe because I was seeing all the bases for, where the U.S. The U.S. I think at one point had 500,000 troops in West Germany. So we still had all the bases. And so we would go to like Ramstein, we would go to Stuttgart, we would go all around. Shaq used to play there in Mannheim, I think. So it's not that uncommon to have kids come out and have some level of competition. And so for me, I fell in love with the dynamics of a football team, fell in love with the dynamics of American high school, American culture. And so ever since I said, if I have the chance, I'll play football. And so when I went to West Point, I walked into the team, I started playing. I never really had a position and I never really knew how to play football in terms of the intensity. I mean, as a European, you do everything a little bit soft and gentle. Yeah. And then when you come to the United States, especially when you come out here to the South, if you see kids out here in West Palm with like the little kids, like the Pouncey twins and whatnot, where they're raising these pit bulls. I mean, that's how you raise somebody to play football. Yeah. And I did not have that in me. So any position that I play, I just looked like a soft, disinterested kid, Yeah. Until I started playing wide receiver. And I said, man, wide receiver is fun. Like catching the ball, getting yards, touchdowns, la, 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 la. And I was a lot bigger than all the cornerbacks.
Mm-hmm. Of course you were.
So when I had to block, it was the whole game became extremely fun. And then I said, okay, I understand football. Football is about being, ripping people's heads off.
Violent.
Having just having the rage in you. And doing it to impose your will on the other person. I mean, all those evil medieval concepts started creeping into my head, and I loved American football. From that moment, I was hooked, and so I try to find any position on the field. I don't care what it is. Tackle happened to be the position that fed my family, and so I ended up playing tackle. But if I could go back, I would have loved to play wide receiver.
Now, when you played tackle, did it come natural? Was it easy, like with the footwork and everything, being a tall guy? Because I know when my daughter's like 6 feet, so she's tall. But as she's a young pup getting and growing into her body, trying to figure it out, it's just like Scooby-Doo. Like they're tripping all over the damn place and trying to...
I feel like unless you're Joe Thomas, and I know that you guys interviewed him recently, unless you're Joe Thomas, playing offensive lineman just does not come natural, especially tackle. Your foot is all over the place. You're jiggling most of the time. You're laughing because you know it's true. And you're just trying to do your best. You're trying to do your best. You're trying to do your best at getting, at managing getting beat. You're trying to do your best at, firing off the ball in uncomfortable situations and moving your body in ways that you don't have to. So I don't think anybody plays, again, unless you're Joe Thomas and you get coiled up in that position, you don't play comfortable at offensive line. It's being comfortable at being uncomfortable. And so for me, from the Army, I said, you know what, I can play tackle. I had an amazing teammates, and the transition into an O-line room is easier than any other room in an NFL locker room, because offensive linemen thrive when everybody plays well. That's when you play well.
True team.
That it is. The biggest competitor on a wide receiver room is not another wide receiver on another team. It's your teammate standing next to you. That's the biggest. That's the person you have to try to beat.
Yeah.
But in an offensive line room, if your guard plays well, then you're going to play well.
Now, how much time did you all actually spend in practice? I know military schools are a lot different than in Alabama, Louisiana Lafayette. Like y'all got to do.
Don't you compare Alabama to Louisiana?
Oh, don't. First off,
don't do that.
First off, we gonna get into.
I love this.
We're working on getting you a jersey because you in the wrong sweatshirt right now. But we'll get to that later. Anyway, Louisiana, Alabama, all good schools, right? But when they practice and they do things, like it's geared toward that program. You're at West Point, right? So. Yes. Completely different organization as far as how you guys tackle football.
Yes. You
guys wake up and do PT, and you got to do other things that all the other soldiers or cadets, students, I don't know what they call cadets. Yeah. Y'all got to do something else, but then you got to go do practice, do all your other stuff, and then you have to do other stuff that whatever the school requires you to do.
Yes.
Correct. So how much time did you actually spend in football?
The thing is that I don't know, because I didn't go to Alabama. So I'm assuming that meeting time is meeting time. There's only so much information that the brain can process.
Right.
Once you go over an hour and a half, I don't care if you're at Stanford or Alabama, people just start getting fried with information. You cannot process that much.
Yeah.
I do think that there's NCAA limitations as to when you can start.
It's supposed to be 20 hours.
Right. So I don't think Army violated any of those. I'm sure that Alabama might have, but I don't think.
Absolutely, they might have.
But I don't think Army ever violated those hours.
100% they did. Like give us a typical date during football season, like on a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday, at Army football.
At Army football.
Okay,
like,
so
the minute you get up.
The moment I get up. So I don't want to. Obviously this is PG, so I don't want to say where I use the bathroom in the morning. But you're trying to save time, if you know what I mean. So I get up in the morning. I always slept on top of my bed, so I wouldn't have to make my bed. All this time they always say, oh, the best thing you do in life is make your bed in the morning. It's like, but what if you sleep on top of your bed? You know what I mean? They never talk about that. You know what I mean? All these
What size bed did you have?
No, the same. I had to take the diagonal of my bed to be able to fit in, and my arms will fall out. Yeah. So I would get up in the morning. I would get ready. I would not leave my room. Put everything, dry shave. Waking up in the morning is hard for me. Very difficult for me. Spanish in me.
I get it.
Difficult. And then you go out to formation, you go to breakfast, everything's bam, 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 bam. You start class, you have like insane amount of credit hours. So I think you have like, I don't want to exaggerate, but basically you have a class all the way nonstop until 2:30 from the moment you wake up at 7. I was an engineer, so I had engineering courses, which, obviously they entail an insane amount of homework and whatnot. And then you go to practice from 2:30, and then the same thing. You work out, you lift, you do your meetings, you have practice, same hours, and then you eat, and then you just say, man, I got to go back to the academy and start doing homework. So then you would prolong the time that you would, like, I got to go back to the facility, and you would just stay in the locker room. And then that's when like prison-like habits will come up, and we'll start messing around with each other, and we'll start getting in trouble just because we did not want to go back to the academy. Because inevitably, when you go back to the academy, now you got to start doing the homework for all the classes that you took. And so then either you have to go to bed and not do your homework, or stay up until midnight and try to finish your homework.
And do it all over again.
And do it all over again the next day, exactly.
And with traveling and everything else. That's why I think military colleges, they're way different, have nothing but the utmost respect for what you all, Navy, Army, Coast Guard, Air Force, like it's a process.
But I didn't know that. I don't know what you're doing in Alabama. So everything becomes relative. If you don't know, it's almost like ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's almost, like
they be chilling.
Yeah, I don't want to tell you my college experience. Like,
now I know. Now I know. Now after I went to Tuscaloosa and I was hanging out from Fort Benning, I was in the retreat, and I was like watching all that stuff. I was like, oh man, these guys, it's crazy. They have like 12 credit hours a year, and one of them is like multiple choice. And
Yeah. You had to take like 18. We had 12 minutes. Like you take 12, like you're good.
18 is a light year, I think too.
Yes, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to know this though. All the moving around, growing up as what Pina calls a military brat, and being in these different cities, on these different bases, getting to meet so many different people. How much do you think that lifestyle for you growing up, how much do you think it benefited you later on in life, becoming a man?
Yeah, that's a very tricky question. I seem normal now. I seem like I'm accomplished and whatnot, but it's moving around that much is not normal.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why the military does it so much. I don't know if it's because you don't want to develop true bonds and friendships between units, and then you have rogue units. I have no idea why the military does it, but I mean, Pittsburgh is the city that I lived the longest in my life. It was 6 months gone, a year gone, 3 months, 3 years gone. You got a girlfriend, you love her, you want to marry her, 15 gone. And you're like, no. I mean, and I don't have I'm from nowhere, so I have no identity. A lot of me is fake. You know what I mean? A lot of me is like me learning how Americans dress and be like, oh, I gotta wear cowboy boots now. Like I don't have a place to call home. I don't have any of that. And so it's very, very difficult when you're a teenager. Very, very, I would never do that to my kids. That's why I said, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to move somewhere, and that's it. I'm not going to be a coach and move to another 50,000 different cities. I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm picking a city, I'm staying with it, and that's it. Just because I think it really did make it very difficult in my life. Now, I can't complain now. I mean, obviously, I got to meet so many people. I speak so many different languages. I'm very socially fluid everywhere. I can talk about anything. But it was not easy. It is the thing that I resent a little bit from my parents.
So I did I think from kindergarten to 12th grade, I've been to 12 different schools.
Right.
It was difficult. Some places were difficult at times. But to me, the beauty of it was when I didn't like somewhere, I was like, all right, we got 6 months and we out. I got a year and we gonna be out, and I get to go to another space or a new base or wherever, and I'll be good. I would always tell people the last place I lived, like, yeah, that's where I'm from. It just made it easier than trying to tell people, well, no, my dad's in the Army, but I'm moving to Germany, but I'm not from Germany. We live in Ramstein, but we don't. Hey man, I'm from Ramstein. I just kept it simple. Oh, I'm from Texas.
We got a big mall in Ramstein. You should check out my mall in Ramstein. That's the only thing I remember, is just going to the mall in Ramstein.
I used to go to commissary in the PX in Ramstein all the time.
I think for every success story, you do have a lot of people that really did get stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm keeping those people in mind as I answer that question, because I don't think it's normal and natural.
It's not.
You guys both are the anomaly in the whole situation, probably.
I hope not, but yes, maybe.
You're a big guy, but you were a big guy, like young. So you're 6'9" when you're like 14?
Yes.
So how is that? Because I always joke, like, we think basketball players are so cool in America.
Yeah.
But I'm like, before they start dunking the ball, they're probably not that cool. Like, because you're way bigger than everybody else in your whole class. You're bigger than your teachers. You're just kind of, until you grow into your body, like what Peanut said. Like, how is that?
So Spanish people are very short.
Yeah, that too.
They're very short. And I was the tallest. And so in Spain, you want everybody to be the same. You want everybody to have the same money. You want everybody to have the same clothes. You want uniformity is what you value. So when you have a kid that tall, it's like a wrench a glitch in the matrix. It just, people cannot compute that you being that tall. And so it was not easy. I hated being that tall. I cannot, if I'm uncertain about the benefits of moving around, but I am certain that I did not like being this tall when I was a kid.
Really?
No. It's not like I was playing here. If I was this tall in Miami, I'd be like, I'm the king. I'm the best.
He's the man.
I'm the man. But in Europe, there's nothing. Being that tall for what? You can't fit anywhere. You can't find clothes. And if you can't find clothes, you don't look like anybody else.
And there's no shoes over there.
There's no shoes. I'm wearing flip-flops and shorts in the winter, everywhere, all year round. Because I can't find clothes.
How did you get them?
The PX at Ramstein. It was the first time that I found Jack Penny. It was JC Penny. It's called Jack Penny. It's like the first time that I saw a catalog from JC Penny and they had 38 inseam. The first time that I ever bought jeans. It's crazy. From JC Penny at Ramstein. That's why I remember. It's ingrained in my head. It's at Ramstein. I'm like, let's go to the PX, bro.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, but it was not normal. It was not easy. Now again, you can make everything to a trauma. You can make, I don't know what it's like to be maybe 5'2", you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but no, definitely, I mean, flying. You know what it's like to fly like this? You know what I mean? With your ears on the back, for 8 hours, constantly, you can't fit anywhere.
And the cars are not big?
Cars are not big. I was taller than the teacher since I was like, and a lot of times people thought I had a problem. They held me back like 10 years. 10 years. What
was that? Billy Madison?
Billy Madison.
Madison was the one that went back to school. Yeah. Like, so it had to be. I was like, nobody's that tall that early.
Nobody's that tall.
Like,
and no one in your family's tall.
My mom could play tight end for the Giants if she wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom's got the genes.
Okay, nice.
She's got the
and how tall is your pops?
They're both. My dad's a slappy 6'2". My mom's 6'2".
Yeah, a good
6'2". Yeah.
Okay. I like it. I like that. So I want to show you a picture. Mr. Thomas, can you help me out right here? So when you see this picture, who do you see?
Okay, this is. I'm not gonna say it's funny. This is a picture that you have to take when you're getting ready to deploy with the 1st Ranger Regiment. Right? Okay. And when you get deployed with the 1st Ranger Regiment, you have to take a picture in case you pass away. This is the picture they're going to show in case you pass away. And culturally, I remember Rangers looking very tough in the picture. You try to look as tough as you can. It's a thing. And me being me, and if you know me, you know why. I said, you know what? I'll smile in the picture. I'm going to smile in this picture because this is because I can't. It's weird for me to look at a picture and say, you always say, when your little kid takes a picture, you always say, cheese. You always smile. So I smile in the picture. And so this is the picture I'm supposed to look tough, but I don't look very tough. I look very gentle.
Yeah. Is that the Spain in you? That's the Spain
maybe. I look like a Care Bear in the picture. When this is supposed to be like that's an Air Ranger right there.
I like that. That's a good, I like the thought of it. It's just like, I'm smiling, man. I'm doing something different.
Yeah.
I got to know this. So what does an Army Ranger do?
What does Army Ranger do? Beautiful, great question. Okay, so I'm going to try to give you a little bit of background of the United States. World War II, we had 120 divisions, I want to say. So when different types of needs. So in World War II, major operation, you need to go to Europe and you need to go to Asia. You need to deploy millions of people. So within the Army, they created volunteer units that would do missions that were different than the rest. So the Rangers were the first all-volunteer Army unit within the Army. So they were deployed in places like the Battle of Normandy. So if you've seen the movie Saving Private Ryan, those are the Rangers, the Omaha Beach. The Battle of Cisterna, they got wiped out. There were units where there were battalions that got completely wiped out. Over time, the military does not like to get rid of units just because. And so if you look at the units that we have right now, the 101st, for example, in Fort Campbell, it's a unit it's a legacy unit. It comes from, if you've seen Band of Brothers, that's the 101st. So we still have the 101st, the 82nd. There are units that out of those 120, 109, or however many divisions we had, we boiled it down, and I think we have 9 now. And a lot of them are legacy. So we still want to keep a lot of the tradition. So the Rangers have become a unit in the special operations realm of things. So basically you have to You have to want to be in that unit. You don't get randomly assigned. You have to try out being in the unit. And their main mission, their core mission, has been seizing airfields to go into a country. So if you wanted to invade a country and you wanted to take the airfield, you would send the Rangers. That's like the main mission. That's the mission why taxpayers pay to have a unit that can take an airfield. Same thing as the Navy SEALs are for hijacked boats and Delta Forces for hijacked planes. Their core mission is that. But in reality, the Rangers have been a mission that has been, they've been doing everything. They call it the Premier Raid unit. So if you have to raid a building, you have to raid a village, then the Rangers are one of the units out of the many units that the United States, Joint Special Operations Command has that can go out and perform that mission.
That's a great description. Very descriptive, actually. I can tell you have a lot of knowledge in that area.
I knew a little bit about it because my dad was in. The one thing, I remember asking my dad, and this is old school Army where the Rangers, Green Berets, they all wore the beret and all that other stuff. And I used to ask him, and I was like, why don't you want to do something like that? He goes, man, I like food. He was like, when you a Ranger, they starve you. He was like, I like food. I ain't trying to run that far, son. Like, I'm good. It
is a unit that you have to create the illusion. Maybe you don't starve. I mean, I was stuffing my face every day, but you have to create the illusion that it's hard. You have to create, it's like almost like saying you're going to play for Saban. Or you're going to play for, you have to create the illusion, the fear that it's going to be harder. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's not harder, maybe it's not, but you have to create the illusion that the fear, the respect, so that you get those volunteers that say, oh, you starve is hard. Okay, I'm going to volunteer to go there.
So why did you choose that route?
I chose that route because I was so insecure about not being American when I first came into the United States.
Really?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, think about it. I was not I have no family, nobody here. Mm-hmm. My accent was a lot, I did not speak English very well. I was always trying to prove myself as being an American, always, constantly, all the time. But I was asking myself, one of the things that I tell people, if you want to learn a language and you want to be really good at it, you don't have to think about studying the words. You have to start acting like something. Mm-hmm. You have to act American. You have to, instead of saying, no way, you have to think of someone in California, laying on the beach and somebody saying, dude, they got amazing free food over there. And you got to say like, no way. And that's how you start learning the language. You start learning the language by pretending to be American. So when you go to West Point, especially during the time of 2006 to 2010, which is when I went, they brainwash every single person into being that person that runs to danger 100,000%. So I wasn't alone in the fact that we all wanted to be the most American soldier version that we could. Uh-huh. And so for me, I saw it as a challenge. It's the same thing as like, why did you want to play football at Alabama and not Lafayette? Because you want to be with the best. You want to be with the best. You want to do what the best do. And so for me, Airborne Ranger is a cultural thing that you have in the Army. It's a cultural thing that you have at West Point. And they have a charter that as a Ranger, you serve in the Ranger Regiment, especially as an officer. You serve some years in the Ranger Regiment, but then you go back into the regular Army and you set the standards for everybody else. So it's almost like if you went to Alabama and you played for a few years and then you went to West Point and you say like, guys, this is how we practice. This is how it's done. And so I looked at those guys that came from Ranger Regiment and I said like, that's me right there. Yeah, I want to be just like them. The special operations, I was a little bit longer. Maybe I would have been a better fit because they do have like the language thing. Mm-hmm. But it's a longer process. And when I was in, I wanted to get back to Afghanistan as quickly as I could. And so the Rangers, they deploy every 4 months. You got 4 months, 6 months, 4 months, and you're always constantly deployed.
You said you wanted to get back multiple times. Why?
Because you go a little crazy, because you can't make sense of it all. The first time you go, you've romanticized war for so long. You've watched movies. You had an idea in your head. You really don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't know what happened. Yeah. And then you kind of just want to, for me, it's like, I can't get stuck in the past of what just happened. Let me try it again. Let me go back again.
It's crazy because you use the word romanticize. Yeah, because everybody, we have this vision of what war or whatever these things are.
Of course, it's the most romanticized thing in the world.
Yeah, but it's also
so true.
But it's super true. It's also like, it's your Super Bowl. That's what do you train for? Like, we do all this workup, we do this build up. Right. I'm doing all this training. Like, I want I want to go to war. Like, I don't think that the goal is like, I want to go to war and die. I want to be like, no.
Yeah, but there's manipulation. I mean, there's a lot of manipulation, mental manipulation in the sense of how do you build an army? And the same thing happens in the NFL, with awards like Pro Bowl, All Pro, you know what I mean? Like those little things, those little sparkles that you throw, they make people fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They really make people
fight. That was my mindset in the NFL. It's like,
right.
You do this, I'm going to get drafted. I got to make a Pro Bowl. You got to try to do that. It's like, this is all you know.
It's all you know. It's hilarious when you watch Tom Brady in tears crying. He was a 7th round pick and he wanted to be. I was like, bro, you are the greatest. Why you? Because that's what it created. Like that, having the status of drafted number one is the one thing you care about the most. In the Army, it was the same way. Now I'm speaking. I'm married to kids. The war in Afghanistan is over. I've had time to think about this. When I was 21 years old and I was hanging out at parties at the University of Alabama, I could care less about the draft. I could care less about the NFL. I could see nothing. The only thing I wanted to do was be an Airborne Ranger. There was nothing in the world mattered to me most.
Right.
I would do anything. I will sell my mother to Uncle Sam, anything. I just wanted to be an Airborne Ranger because I thought that the possibility of not being one will crush me for life. And the Army is very smart. I mean, the largest award that you can wear on your chest is the Combat Infantry Badge. And they did it for a reason. It's twice the size as any other award you can wear. And it's for infantrymen who face combat. So how hard is it to motivate somebody as a soldier to carry a rifle and go face the enemy? So the Army said, okay, let's create an award for that. And the awards that you wear and all that subconsciously, they have an effect. I mean, Napoleon said, give men a small piece of ribbon and they'll go die for you. So I do think that when you're that young, it did have a huge, huge effect on me. And being an Airborne Ranger was 1,000% part of that.
It's one of the first things I notice when I look at someone's uniform, and you see, it was like, oh, okay, he's got his combat ribbon. Okay, I see it. Right. It's something I notice when I see it though. Yeah, it's like, okay, they got some combat. They seen some action. They the real deal.
Yeah, dogs sniff their tails. You see two men in uniform, the first thing to do is ting, 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 ting. Got it. You know what I mean? Continue to have the conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Who am I talking to? You know what I mean?
What was your welcome to the military moment?
My welcome to the military moment. I had a lot of moments of humility. I had a lot of moments where I thought I was invincible. I had a lot of crazy nights in Atlanta, for example, when I was stationed in Columbus, and I would get back and I would realize that I was not a kid anymore. I can't talk about those welcome moments here in this.
Understood.
100%. But I did have that. There's an incredible amount of humility that goes into being a lieutenant in the United States Army because you're the youngest person. I was 21, 22 years old, and you're in charge of 39. Veteran men, women. Oh yeah, for sure. Especially in the infantry. I mean, I didn't have a chance to serve with women, but in the man's world, you know what the man's world is like when you sit in front and to get that credibility. So a lot of humility, a lot of welcome to the Army moments. But thankfully, I had incredible soldiers that I served with, and they carried me through. They made up for my mistakes. They allowed me to lead. And my experience as a platoon leader, I can't speak high enough of how incredible my journey was and how thankful I am for the United States Army.
Do you feel like you were prepared once you left West Point to be a 21-year-old lieutenant, being in charge of a group of 30, 40 men? Do you think you were really, truly prepared at 22?
Yes, because I wanted it so bad. I wanted it so bad. I did impossible things to be this next person to be sent to Afghanistan. I waived all my leave after West Point. I was so obsessed. I mean, I couldn't stop thinking about it. It was night and day. But not just me. Don't think that I'm like, oh, we're looking at... No. It was every single person that you talked to from my class was exactly the same way. Graduation 2010, West Point, infantry. It was a rat race to get to a unit that was going to Afghanistan. So for me, it was like, okay, I need to go to Fort Drum, New York, which is not the unit that everybody wants. I'm going to go to a unit that nobody wants to go to so I can get there as soon as possible. I'm going to waive everything. And I wanted it so bad that I think now looking back, it wouldn't have mattered because I was willing to do anything to be prepared.
So when you got there, was it what you expected?
No.
Or was there like a letdown, or was it like, oh yeah, this is awesome?
I mean, the letdown is now. It's great. I mean, this is like a super deep conversation. It's great. It's far greater than that. I mean, you romanticize it for years. You want to liberate the people from Afghanistan. Yeah. You feel that the Taliban are oppressing these people, and that you're going there to liberate them, and you're going to build a great nation that is going to. And then you go there, and it's not like that at all. But it takes you a couple of times to go there and be like, Wait, what?
Because you said the first time, you're like, I got to go back because it's not.
Right, because I'm like, okay, I didn't why did I not solve the war? I came here to be the hero, and why did it not happen? Let me go back at one more time. And then you realize, like, hold on. Yeah, they got me. This is not what I thought it was. The world is a lot more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand things. I cannot simplify things into saying is like this or like that. I'm very humble in my intentions and what I'm trying to do. I have to just take the little truth in my heart of how much I care about being a soldier, how much I love being a soldier, how much I love the Army, what it's given me. But outside of those things, forget about it. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about Afghanistan. I don't know what we were doing. I can't pinpoint exactly where we messed up. At what point I stopped trying to figure it out.
When did you decide, you know what? I'm done with the war. I want to try and play football again.
In my last deployment, I said, I don't know if this is what my life is supposed to be. I don't know if I can do this. I got married. I didn't want to start the cycle of moving over and over again. Mm-hmm. And then I had this crazy delusional idea that I could play in the NFL because I was this big and tall. Like, I still have to face myself in the mirror every single day and be like, bro, you're this tall, you're 6'10", and you're out here doing PowerPoint presentations right now. Like, what
PowerPoint presentations?
Well, okay, in the Army, sometimes you're a platoon leader and you're doing, you're leading men, and you're doing PT and you're doing maneuvers. But then sometimes they take you out of that role to give it to someone else, and then they put you in a staff role, and then they say, okay, my guy here, read this 1,000 emails and put a presentation for this. So you're on a computer hunched over like this, and then you go to the gym.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Everybody has to go through a staff job in the Army, and so I would go to the gym in the afternoons. And I would play football with the sustaining brigade, which usually they love playing sports, and we'd play flag football. And I was like, I'm dominating this game. Like I'm jumping, and in my mind I was thinking, I'm 6'10". Like how can you, if I can catch the ball, now that I look at you guys, I'm like, yeah, you got, there's no way on a jump ball, if I can't jump, that I'm going to take the ball away from you. But in my mind, I thought all corners were 5'2", 5'5", because that's what the level of corners that I faced in college. So I was thinking to myself, in a very delusional way, I can play in the NFL. There's no way I can't play. There's no way I cannot play. There's no way I cannot play. And so when it was time for me to get out of the Army, I wanted to go into the NFL just so I can have 1 year and they could pay for my business school. Because everybody at West Point goes from, the academy, they get out and they go to business school. It's kind of like you do it because everybody else is doing it. Same thing as the Airborne Ranger. When you get out, it's go to business school. So I was like, man, the NFL loves the Army and the military so much. Every every quarter they always honoring the troops. Like maybe they'll give me a chance, And so that's when I started thinking, they had the super regional combine in Flowery Branch. I said, maybe if I drive out there around my 40, I catch the ball in front of the scouts, maybe they'll give me a chance. Maybe it's possible. I don't know how, but man, I look so good. There's no way they're gonna give me a chance.
I love your confidence.
It was a very, now looking back, I was the only person that was confident in that.
That's all that matters, though.
For sure.
To me, that's what makes it beautiful.
Though, he was going to be a wide receiver too.
Yes. I said, don't put me a tight end. Put me a wide receiver, bro.
I want to be wide receiver.
Yeah, put me the X. Put me out there by myself.
That's the funniest thing to me.
It is.
So confident.
But everybody else that was okay. So I don't think they do the super regional combine now, and I don't know if I'm bad mouthing the NFL by exposing the fact that maybe they stopped doing it because
if you are, no one knows.
Okay,
Keep going.
edit it out. So people that were showing up to these super regional combines, they were characters. But like 40-year-old bartenders and PE teachers, people that play 1 year in sophomore high school and they got hurt and they're like, we were all. It was like an American Idol audition. That's how it was. There was no. It was not like I don't think it was like a serious thing, but people had the dreams of going to the NFL. And I think out of my class, I think only like 2-3 players were able to get it out.
The beautiful thing about that is the 40-year-old bartender, he was the only one who thought he could have a chance at making an NFL roster.
Yes.
So, and it doesn't sound delusional because in his mind, he is out there catching touchdowns on me and you on Sunday.
He watches on the couch. He's like, bro, I could do that.
It's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was.
I could do that.
I could do that.
You have a lot of people that just criticize players and they think they can do it. It was a collection of all of us. Saying that we can do this. And when you put a little bit of Under Armour, the Under Armour was coming up with like the long sleeve stuff. And you're like, come on, man, I look just like them. You know what I mean?
37U.
Yeah.
37U.
37U is a thing. It is a vibe. Something that I don't want. So you went to this regional combine. So how did you get from this regional combine to Pittsburgh?
So when I went to the regional combine, I signed up because one of my teammates from Army had told me that they have an open tryout. I was like, hey, check it out. Check it out. Look at this pamphlet. Wow. You know what I mean? $350 and I get to run the 40 and maybe I can go to the NFL. So I was so enamored with the idea of being able to have a chance to put it to bed, put it to rest as to whether I belong in the NFL or not, that I signed up. I drove an hour to go to, or a couple hours to go to Flowery Branch. And then when I did my regional combine, they invited me to go into the super regional combine. And so I went to Detroit where they did a...
Did your friend get invited too?
My friend was already in the NFL. My friend was able to get in the year before, and I saw him at St. Patrick's Day in Savannah, Georgia. And when I caught up to him, I was like, man, what are you doing? I said, man, I'm in the NFL. I was like, no way. He said, yeah, man. All you got to do is get in the system. Once you're in, you're good. You know what I mean? You know how NFL players talk about, like, when you talk to the guys on the outside that really want to come in, you encourage them, try out, man. Once you get into the system of training camp, they'll bounce you around, you're good. I mean, obviously, I knew that he was overselling it, but I didn't know that there was an opportunity to at least showcase your talents in front of scouts. That's what you want to know. Is, I want to know that there's a scout going to be, that's going to be there. And when I went to the super regional combine, then they sent maybe like 15, 20 scouts from the NFL, or maybe all of them. I'm not sure how many they sent out, but they sent scouts from the NFL. And then obviously I became an intriguing prospect because I was so large, so tall. I had the story, the Army, we talked about the connection between the NFL and Army and service. And so I got an invite to go to try out to do with the Philadelphia Eagles. And so I went to Philadelphia the week after that. I did the same exam. I brought my tight end gloves, and they ended up doing an all-line workout, and I ended up signing as a D-line. So
you were a D-line?
I was a D-line, yeah. I was a D-line.
Just never gave up on being a tight end or receiver. Never gave it up.
Oh my God.
I want the wide receiver glove. Sticky gloves. You know what I mean? No, put them away, son. You're not gonna need them. But so I was in the D-line room with the amazing Ben Graham and Fletcher Cox, Connor Barwin. So I knew right off the bat I was not gonna make the team, but I was hoping that I would do good enough, like my buddy said, in the system, that I would do good in preseason, that I would be able to end up somewhere else. So, from there I got a call from Coach Tomlin, and we hit it off, had a bromance, and then the rest is history.
When did they tell you, like, all right, you're not a DN? You're really good?
I understand now how it works. You set up your 53, and then you have to create your practice squad roster. And with the practice squad roster, you want to keep certain things in mind. One is obviously the most urgent one is, are you going to need that player during the season?
Yes.
And if you're going to need, especially, I know that towards the end of my career, they expanded the roster to maybe 10 players or something like that. So, and you can protect them too. You can give them like specific tags. And then there's other ones where you can develop them. And so I think they looked at me in mind with the idea of developing me. You want to have practice squad players, especially in the O-line, because if your O-line players start getting hurt and you have to put the backups, the starters, they're not going to be able to take the scout reps. So I took all the scout reps, and obviously I was very, very happy with doing that job. But Coach Tomlin saw me do my O-line, my D-line tryout. I looked good, but I think, and this is so important about playing D-line, is you cannot be laid off the ball. You just can't be laid off the ball.
Great
Unacceptable.
Point. That is a great point.
That is matter of fact the only thing that matters about playing D-line. Nothing else matters. If you don't have the reacting, the fast twitch of coming off the ball and reacting, it doesn't matter how good you look. You can be as big, as strong as whatever.
You'll never get there.
You'll never get there, But if I know the snap count, I can operate. And I've always liked, again, because wide receiver's the position that I had to play. I always like to know the snap count on the play. I feel more comfortable that way. Both of you feel comfortable with whatever.
I don't need it.
It's reactive.
Quarters, double two, robber, thief, whatever. But for me, it's like, what's the play? Where's it going? Who's getting the ball? And then from there, the journey of practice squad to starting and to eventually playing in the NFL was just hard work and sacrifice.
All right, so you go from this amazing career in the Army, you go to war, you come out, you make it back, and you're a rookie all over again when you get picked up by Pittsburgh. What was that like?
I mean, it's very difficult to describe because I was not a rookie. I was in practice squad. I was a practice squad player for the Pittsburgh Steelers at 26 years old. They just re-signed James Harrison to be on the team.
Yeah.
So I got to go against James Harrison every single day. And I don't think a single person that was in the locker room, to include the coaches, knew what I was doing in the service. They didn't know that I was going into valleys just a couple months ago. And I was like, Thor was coming into to get you.
Yeah.
And now I'm picking up the pads, and I'm giving a look to James Harrison so you can tear my arm apart, from my torso. So that part was very humbling. But at the end of the day, is what you have to do. There's no story that you can write in America where you don't have that part.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
You have to go through that. You have to go through the humbling part of, you're a practice squad. Be thankful. This is how it is. Who do you think you are that you're going to be, playing football in Kandahar Airfield, and then you're going to come to the NFL? Like, what are you crazy? You know what I mean? You know how many people want to play in the NFL? This is the most sought after position in football for guys that are your height, play left tackle in the NFL. So yeah, it was crazy, but thankfully the Pittsburgh Steelers were an incredible organization. And I had a Hall of Fame coach who did not care, who could care less if you were into Alabama, Lafayette, or if you went to Army. He could care less. He just wanted principles of football. And so that played huge in my development.
Now, when your teammates found out what you did, were they shocked? It's like, wait, what?
I just don't think they understood. I still don't know. I still don't think they understand now.
They don't.
Even if I've told them thousands of times. Because you can't, until you see a Chinook in the middle of the night on a valley.
Do you know what a Chinook is? No. It's a helicopter.
I thought so. I would have guessed that.
It's the one that the back drops.
The back drops, and it's got two.
CH-47.
The two on the two.
The two,
yep,
right.
Yeah. CH-47.
Until you see what it's like to be with night vision goggles, everybody inside, you know what I mean? Like me giving the brief, you know what I mean? Like me giving the brief is like, hey, this is what we're doing tonight. This is like, with the precise language, with everybody's paying attention, how professional. Yeah, if you don't see that, you don't know. You just think that all the jobs in the military are sort of the same. That you were just, it's very difficult to portray what an army, because the Rangers also don't have a lot of movies, and they don't have a lot of, Saving Private Ryan is the only, but they don't have a lot of, and not very media-wise, they do not like being on the media at all. So if I would have said Navy SEAL, they would have been like, whoa, Navy SEAL, whoa. Because the Navy SEALs, they can't stop making podcasts and books. But for the Rangers, it's different. You try to be a little more low-key. And so they had no idea. They couldn't understand it.
I just remember when we were in Carolina, I'm familiar with everything what y'all do, my dad, and then I got a bunch of Navy SEAL friends. So me and military guys and team guys and operators, like, I get it. We were in Carolina, and they had a Team 6 guy, a DevGru guy came and he spoke to us. And they gave this great presentation about, we do this, we do that, leadership, team, we got to be one, work as one unit. We vote on everything, trust, blah, 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 blah. And then somebody was like, I think it was Chuck, he goes, hey, I got a question. Do y'all get to pick y'all guns for y'all missions?
Right.
And I could see when the guy was speaking, when Chuck asked that question, the guy was like, that's the only thing you worried about out of everything I just said. You worried about what gun I could pick. And then he made a reference to like Call of Duty. He's like, do y'all got scars?
Right.
Do y'all get this?
Right.
And I'm just like,
if people were interested, they want to know how many people I killed. You know what I mean? Those
they just didn't get
questions.
It.
Yeah, of course.
I thought it was hilarious. But, and even so, I had a foundation event in 2015, and General Raymond Odierno.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Odierno was at my, I knew him personally. He passed away. R.I.P. Coach General O. My father-in-law was his warrant officer. So family, real connected with each other, whatnot. So I had him come to this charity event I had, right? And I had all my DBs, and I'm like, I was like, man, that's General O. Like, he's a rock star. He's like Don Shula of the Army. And they were just like, yeah. Like, and no one got him. Like, he's responsible for Saddam Hussein when they caught him in Tikrit. Like, that's General O. Like, y'all. And they were just like, What?
I had the same issue in Pittsburgh. So Coach Tomlin came up to me one day and said, hey, we have a Army unit that's coming over. I don't know anything, like, he's asking me. And I said, okay, it's probably, whatever, let's say the National Guard or whatever. And then I saw the unit, and it was a CAG unit from Fort Bragg, Combat Action Group Delta. And they were doing some training out there, and I started shaking. I started going, Coach, you have no idea. You have no idea. And then I introduced them, to the team, and then they were mingling one up, but the players had no idea who these people were.
It just went right over their head.
Right,
and
over
I was
their heads.
like,
right.
Are you guys not? How do you not know?
I know. But you have to understand also that it's a voluntary force. It's better to be that way. It's better that we're not obsessed with the military. We're not in a military nation. We praise our generals and whatnot. No. Military is, America is perfect the way it is. And if we have to have that ignorance, then we're still very blessed.
That's amazing for you to say. I want to come back to that because that's good, because you have this unique perspective where most people do not. Peanut has a really great perspective, but he still was not in it as you are. And I'm sure when you were coming down in the, what kind of plane was that? The helicopter was that?
CH-47? CH-47, yeah.
Dude, you probably look like a nightmare from hell, bro. You're 6'9", coming out with your night vision and stuff. You're probably the scariest dude anybody's ever seen.
Yeah.
I hope you got a picture of you and all your gear in the night in the NVGs. Like, it's got to be dope.
Scariest person anybody's ever seen. All right, being that tall.
It's a sight to see.
Yeah, dude. I just got the whole people in front. He's in the back, just leaning by, bro. Who the is that? Anyways, what was your first welcome to the NFL moment?
Okay, so I did all the things right. I was a teacher's pet when I was in the NFL. There was not a single time that you asked me what my assignment was and I didn't know it. There wasn't a drill that I didn't do 100%. There wasn't, I try to do everything absolutely right in order to get a chance to make the roster, because I knew that. I was like, man, I gotta make a roster. So I made the roster and I was a backup. A lot of things happened for me to start. The starter, who was one of my biggest mentors, Kelvin Beachum, goes down with an ACL injury. The other backup, who's a first round pick, injury with a back injury so I'm the third string. I'm like a big time fringe guy, and two people get hurt, and now I'm going in. So now this is no longer, a teacher's pet type. This is like now you out there and you're performing for your teacher. And I was going against Dwight Freeney. My first start was against the Arizona Cardinals, and I had to go against Dwight Freeney, Elias Campbell, Lamar Woodley. There were a bunch of old, NFL legends that I had to go against. And I remember my coach was a head coach for the Titans, so he had gone against Dwight Freeney for many, many years when he was playing with the Indianapolis Colts. And he said, listen, be very careful with the spin move. The spin move. The spin. He's got a crazy spin move. And I was like, I got it, coach. I got the spin move. I got the spin move. He's like, no. Like a third and long. He's going to look like he's not doing the spin move. He's going to look like he's going on field. Trust me, the spin move. So I remember the first 3rd and 10. I could hear Coach Haley screaming from the sidelines, that spin move out, the spin move. And I was like, I got it, Coach. I got it. You know what I mean? I got the spin move. I know he's going to, I relax. I'm going to set it heavy inside. But man, when you watch an NFL vet who's been doing a move for years and has made a career, one of the all-time sack leaders in the NFL, with a spin move, you understand why it is so effective. Because you just can't see the move coming. You don't think he's going to do the spin. You're setting so heavy inside, only a crazy person would do the spin move. Sure, again, bing, did the spin move, beat me clean. The guard was not looking, and thankfully the quarterback got the ball out. But that's when I started realizing that even if you prepare, you have to give incredible amount. You have to almost become the hero and beat the legend in order for you to thrive in the NFL. You have to get these old NFL legends, and you have to be able to beat them somehow by you proving that you can also think just like them, that you can also think outside the box and come up with something he's never seen before. And for him to reconsider whether he should be playing in the NFL, did not do that game. He continued on to play for the rest of the year very happily.
I want you to expand upon something real quick. You had mentioned that you don't think you would have played or had a longer career if you would have played for another team in the NFL. If you would have played for of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why do you think that is?
I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are, first of all, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they did have a little bit of superstitious thing. I mean, everybody in the world of sports is a little superstitious.
Absolutely.
Let's not kid ourselves. So the Pittsburgh Steelers won a lot of Super Bowls when they had Rocky Blyer, who was a soldier that came from Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Pittsburgh Steelers in their juju sort of mantra, they always want to have somebody from the army, you know what I mean? Maybe so they can give them that little boost. So I thought I was like, great. I have a team that cares about having a soldier on the team for whatever reason, but they care about having me in here. When I was with the Philadelphia Eagles, I thought they like it because it does give great publicity to the team because the coach loves the military, but they were not seriously considering me as a player. They looked at me like all NFL teams have looked at me before. Like, there's no way. If you didn't go to Alabama, I'm not drafting you. I'm not playing you. I want SEC players only on my team. That's how I can go to sleep at night, you know, by knowing that you played in $100,000 stadiums and you got boosters, you know.
Paying you under the table.
Paying you, not paying you, but like putting pressure on you to
Alabama.
perform.
Yes.
You know, what's it like when you're University of Miami and you lose a big game against Louisville? You have all this excitement. I think that coaches want to know that players need to feel the responsibility of the city in terms of you need to perform because there's a lot at stake, you know, with you here, son. And I don't think there's a better example than Tuscaloosa for that.
Thank you.
So I thought that nobody gave me a chance until I met Coach Munchak, who's a Hall of Fame guard. And I think he had so much experience with how to evaluate NFL O-line talent that he said, I don't care about a player being from the SEC. I don't care about a player having these measurements or having this experience. I can teach him. Maybe it was his ego. Maybe his ego was so big.
I mean, he's one of the greatest, though.
He is the greatest. He's amazing. He's the GOAT.
Yeah.
And I think he was that confident. He said, you give me this kid and I'll turn him into an NFL.
Because he played how many positions did he play?
No, I think he played right guard and he played for many, many years.
Yes. Forever, right?
Forever, yeah. I think he retired right before the free agency opened up in the 80s. You know, and we were like, damn, coach, you couldn't get the trains, you know, you couldn't get the legs going for one more year. But he went right into coaching, you know, with Houston Oilers, and then he went to Tennessee, became the head coach. When a man dedicates that much to the position of O-line,
yeah,
I mean, that man has dedicated his entire life to playing O-line, then that gives you a chance. When you have a coach for another team, and I saw this, that evaluates you and he says, I don't like it, give me another one. I would have been a victim of that because being this tall is not perfect. It's not ideal to be this tall when you're playing offensive lineman because you have so much height. You know, your leverage. I mean, you're playing a little high, and if you don't have the knowledge and the understanding of how to anticipate plays based on the fact that you play with a legendary coach in college, then it becomes a little bit difficult. Like, I don't understand a lot of concepts like trapping, pulling, and stuff. I know triple option, but I don't know how to play in the pro style offense. But he did not care. I think he enjoyed it. I think he saw me as a good match and a good fit, maybe based on the fact that I've lived all around the world and I've been with people from all around the place. And he liked me having it in the room. And so because of that, I was able to have, so all those things had to happen. The fact that 2 players got hurt in front of me, right. That's the biggest one. Then the fact that I went to a team that valued having a veteran on the team, somebody from the Army, for historical reasons or not. And also because Pittsburgh does have a very special connection with the veteran community. Mm-hmm. And I thought that being a veteran in Pittsburgh was the special transition that I could ever have. The city of Pittsburgh and the war in Vietnam were 2 concepts that really, really helped me cope through all the things that I went through because it's very, very eerily familiar to what Vietnam vets went through. And then lastly, having a Hall of Fame coach and incredible teammates.
You're probably so right. And just because every time Pittsburgh was on TV, they always mention you and what you meant to so many more and your service and all, like it was always mentioned. Like that was the one thing that always stood out.
The NFL did that a lot.
They did.
Now I don't think a veteran could do that because I think the shift. I mean,
they're not trying to bring like all that in.
Now, if you're a firefighter or a nurse, for sure, you can play in a team. But it really was a time and place. I mean, to have an all-volunteer force serving the longest war in our history in a fight that was so unknown to the American public. I mean, we talked about all those 3 themes. Yeah. It's difficult. It's not easy. It's not easy. And so I do think that the NFL is embedded in the NFL. In the Army, they have big national strategies to try to cheer up and bring morale of the population. Because if morale goes down, like it happened in Vietnam, for example, like we can enter situations where, all of a sudden people just don't have that urge to be an airborne ranger. I mean, that's when you can get in trouble. So I think everybody kind of works together.
Tell me what it was like, though, because early on in your career, you blocked for a traditional quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
But then by the end, you got somebody like Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
What are the biggest two differences besides the athlete that's playing quarterback, but blocking for these guys?
I mean, I'll go in specifics of what it's like to block for different quarterbacks. Ben is very limited in his move. It was very limited in his move. So he knew that the safest spot in the pocket for a quarterback is 6 yards behind the center. That's the safest. If you go further than 6 yards behind the center, now you're telling a person to run backwards. When a person is going forward and you want to beat him 10 yards, it's impossible. You cannot, it's just mathematically, you cannot kick slide back where the person's going forward and you can beat him at 10 yards. Mm-hmm. You can run the loop, but you cannot be at 10 yards. So Ben Roethlisberger was very wise. Obviously, he had a very long career, and he knew that at 6 yards, he was going to sit in his pocket, and he could care less. He could care less if he threw the ball, and then Suggs just depleted him, mm-hmm. As that he understood that that's how you play the position. Lamar does not like being trapped because he's magical with his legs, mm-hmm. and he's such an inspiring athlete. Both of them were such competitors and so inspiring in the huddle. I mean, when you're in the huddle with Ben Roethlisberger, think about like how lucky I got. I got to play football with Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson, Ben Roethlisberger. You know what I mean? Like, that's incredible. That's insane. Like that. From Spain, you know what I mean? It's incredible. They transmit an aura. I know the kids now saying aura. Aura farming. My kids are saying aura all the time.
They do, yeah.
The aura that a quarterback like Lamar and Ben have in the huddle is amazing. It makes you play better. Mm. It definitely does. But, Lamar does not mind putting himself in harm's way. He does not mind putting himself in harm's way. He doesn't mind going 10, 12 yards, being a little deeper. And if it doesn't, if he cannot find the throw, he glides. And he just glides through the field.
I like that. All right, let's get into the third act. All right, you get out of the military and you get into farming. How did you get into farming fruit?
So my mom's side of the family, they're all fruit farmers.
Okay.
So they all farm avocados and a very specific fruit that only Spanish people know, all in Spanish countries in Latin America. It's called chirimoya. So if you're not from a Spanish-speaking country, you probably never heard of this.
I have not.
Americans have a very conservative palate. They do not like to try different things. They like what they want. That's the reason when we talk about food in America is very, very average at best worldwide. But we do have incredible fruits in America. We do have the Americas. And I'm obviously, when we talk about, biology, we're not just speaking about the frontiers of nations. Mm-hmm. In the Americas have incredible biodiversity. And we're very blessed to be in a climate zone here in South Florida where it doesn't freeze and you have subtropical climate. So you can grow some of these fruits that are very, very unique only to the Americas. And so when I got done playing from my house, I can make a right and I can go to Brickell and I'm in the financial district of Miami and where the action is happening. And every single person is talking about private equity and crypto and things that are like, wow, sounds amazing. 10x, 20x, you're going to quadruple. And all I can think about the entire time was 78% of NFL players lose their money. 78% of NFL players lose their money. 78% of NFL players lose their money. I mean, what if you cannot understand what is it that you're doing with this new meme coin or whatever? Are you going to be part of that 78%? And then I started making a left out of my house and I started going towards Homestead. I had to go pick up plants, nurseries or whatever. And when I went to the Homestead, I realized the leaf of the trees were the same as the ones that I had in my hometown. And I started investigating. I said, hold on a minute. Like, what are you guys growing here? What is it that you grow? And I realized that you're growing all the subtropicals that make Spanish cuisine, particularly in the Americas, very, very special. And I became in love with it. I was obsessed. So I started looking into the idea of buying land. and I bought a farm. And then after that came the investment opportunity of doing another one and another one. And so I said, okay, this is it. You know, I understand the fact that if you do speak Spanish, you're going to love chirimoyas. I can sell them to you. It is value. And maybe I can go to a place like Pittsburgh or Prattville or Chicago, and I can put it in front of an American, and maybe his conservative palate is going to open up to the deliciousness of eating a mango and subtropical fruit, because it is the only thing that we do have special. Outside of that, you know, our diet is very, very sus, like my kids would say.
That is, look at you.
Hey, don't crash out on your boy.
Yeah.
There we go. You said something earlier that I was like, man, I think that's awesome, and it seems very personal that I feel like you could only answer to all of our crowd. And you talked about how, well, you know, anybody that's from America, if they've made any type of success, they come from the story where about hard work and how nothing's just given like that. You were like, dude, everybody knows that. I think opposite. I think a lot of people in America don't think that a lot of people are, and things are just kind of just like, oh, well, you just kind of made it, or you're lucky. And I want to know if, because you weren't American born, you look at it in a different way. And sometimes you have this different appreciation for so many things that a lot of us don't appreciate at all.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a unique experience, and I do have the fact that I am coming from a place like Europe that is a very interesting place to come from, because Europe, there's a lot of stuff going on in Europe, and it always has. But one of my biggest themes that I always told my classmates, especially my classmates, my teammates, you know, you always get into these arguments, especially in the O-line. Mm-hmm. Don't call them arguments, call them discussions.
Yes.
You're discussing things. You're discussing life, politics. I said, man, you know, the like we were talking about earlier about Alabama and an Army, things become relative, and you just don't know anything else. You know, when you live in your town, that's your town. So in Europe, discrimination happens not because of the color of your skin, it happens because of your last name. It happens because of the way you speak. And because the way you speak in your last name, you will never have access to a life. This is your spot. You start creating aristocracies, and you start creating classes that you cannot access. But this is Miami. This is new money. I don't care who you are. You could be in a yacht going up and down the Miami River. We all recognize that as being the American dream. It does not matter who you are. You can come from anywhere. You can think whatever. If you're in a yacht in Miami, people go like this.
Yep. And
what is understood is that in order to beat that, you have to disintegrate any social constructs that you might have as to what makes you successful. And it is understood in the United States, and especially in football, that if you sacrifice and you work harder than anybody else around you, you sacrifice. You sacrifice your family. You sacrifice your health. You sacrifice your friendships. You sacrifice your values, your beliefs, your religion. If you give up everything, if you make a deal with the devil and you work harder to get your goals, you will be successful. But if you do that in Europe, you're not going to get your success because of, it just, you know what I mean? It's your last name doesn't rhyme with, you know, whatever. It's not, you just were not born into wealth, you know, or you just, you know, this is not like it's not a thing that you could ever dream to become. But here in the United States, especially in a city like Miami, that's why I feel so good in Miami. Miami is a city of individual stories. Just like my story is crazy. Talk to a Cuban that came out here, you know what I mean, on a boat, on a raft, landed in Key Largo. Yeah. And he started doing, you know, medical sales. And now he sold a multi-billion-dollar company. You know, that's the story that we all say in America. That's America. That happens in America. Mm-hmm. Doesn't happen anywhere else. When you come in America and you're dealing like, I imagine that this place gets crazy during the Formula One. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's such an interesting thing because Formula One is truly a European sort of thing.
It is.
But how much would you love being here, right? In this thing, listen to conversations, talking to people about how they made their money. When you talk to an American, if they say like, oh, my daddy, this and that, it's like, next.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear you. When you tell me that you failed and you failed and you failed, and then all of a sudden you just, you know, your wife left you, your kids, your dad, the addiction, and that in one day, boom. You know what I mean? You hit the lottery. It just happened. Just listen, I was watching the Jerry Jones documentary, you know what I mean? With the oil field.
Yeah, that's his last money.
What is every American thing? You're like, bro, yes, that's America. Like he waged everything. He became indebted. He took the risk Americans take a lot of risk, and then it paid off. The European mind cannot comprehend that. It's not structured to be that way, you know? So in this paddock right here, it would be amazing to see which conversations you find yourself more interested in. You want new money. New money's fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
New money brings us all together. That's why people like hip hop. You know what I mean? You think in a year of like, the new money is like, yeah, it is. It is an amazing thing. When I come to the United States and Lil Wayne is crushing it, you know what I mean? And yeah, anybody can identify with that, with the ambitions of a young American who just was willing to risk, sacrifice, and work harder than everybody else. So, I mean, that is what makes America number one. You know, as long as you can keep that and that expectation, people think that way, then I think we'll always be okay.
This is why I love that conversation.
I love it. I got one more question for you. Mount Rushmore. It's a mountain full of 4 presidents, but we're just going to call it a Mount Rushmore of greatness. And you get to pick 4 people that have had an influence on you in your life that have helped shape you, sir, in becoming the man you are today. It could be
the very large man.
I know.
Football related, faith related, religion, family, cousins, whatever. You just get 4 people you get to pick and put on this mountain.
I was sitting here when you guys asked Giovanni Bernardo the same question. So I'm gonna make it funny. I'm a teacher's pet. So I'll say Joe D'Alessandris, R.I.P., who passed away, O-line coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Loved him to death, rest in peace. Mike Munchak, I talked about him. He had such a huge effect on me. And then, you know, the Will Smith and Carlton Jones of the NFL, Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. I'll put them all in the same. They've had a huge, I mean, if you take away the NFL from my story, it's not that incredible. Just, you know, somebody who came here and served. But the fact that I was able to make it in the NFL does make it very special. I'm very grateful for the NFL. It's very difficult to define what the NFL is and it isn't. You know what I mean? Is it the fans? Is it not the fans? Is it the city? Is it not the city? Is it the brotherhood of players who have played beforehand? For me, those 4 have had an amazing, incredible impact. And yeah, I guess I'll put them in there, you know?
I like it. It's a good little list. Alejandro, hey man, I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. More importantly, thank you for your service. You blessed us with some amazing stories. I kind of knew what you're about when I did my little research and read up on you. I wanted to be you. Meaning, no, seriously. So having grown up in the military or being around it so much, like that was what I wanted to do coming out of high school. I don't know if you want to call it, I don't use the word brainwash, but like it was just what I knew. So I was just like, all right, I'm joining the Army. And then I got a scholarship and was like, okay, I just want to join the Army. I'll just go play football. And then after I was like, all right, if I don't get drafted, I'm still joining the Army. I'm going to do some Ranger, whatever. That's what I'm going to do. And then I just kept playing football. I was like, oh, I guess I'm not joining the Army anymore.
I wish I could be dismissive, but I would tell you that between the two, now obviously I can say that now, but the Army was the highlight of my life. I do feel like being in the Army was kind of like being an actor for The Office. You know, that nothing else after that is going to ever, you know, like that image of the Chinook coming out with my man, that is the peak, and everything else after that is.
Absolutely. I get it. I get it.
I'm very thankful for the United States Army. I can never say that.
Yeah, but I appreciate you. Thank you for your time, service, and telling us all these amazing stories. Truly, you are, sir, one of one. You really are.
Wow, I think everybody's a 101. You know, we're in Miami, so everybody has the same.
No, man, I mean, Peanut said it all, man. It was great. This was one of the more unique stories we've got to hear, and I'm really thankful for it. It was great, and just you two just falling over each other it's awesome. So congrats, man. Like,
well, thank you so much.
Amazing career.
I've heard so much about you throughout your whole careers. When I started watching football, talking to NFL vet, I mean, you drift away from the NFL when you retire, but you guys have an amazing job right now, being able to keep the veteran community together and continue to talk and highlight, you know, what the NFL is all about. So thank you so much for the program that you guys have. Congratulations on your success. It's been an amazing pleasure talking to you guys.
Man. Thanks. Appreciate it, baby. Appreciate it, man. That's awesome. So for wherever you pick up your podcast, make sure you continue to check in, give us a like, subscribe, follow, whether it's iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. Continue to check us out, man. Tell a friend to what, Peanut?
Tell a friend.
There we go, man. Get us up out of here, Peanut.
I'm Peanut. That's Rome. That's Alejandro. And this is the NFL Players Second Acts Podcast. We out.